Oh, we got David. Is he in the waiting room? So,
That's right. From Poseidon. Let's do it. I'm going to let you take this
Poseidon
intro.
himself. Can you grab me a yerba mate? Thank you. David, what's going on? Big day for you and a big flag.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's been a great day here. We finally launched in public. We've been in stealth for a bit over a year now, so it's really exciting to show the world what we've been working on.
It's amazing. And if I remember correctly, some of the very first posts we featured on this show at the beginning of last year, weren't they yours? I feel like you came
Yeah, I think there was one, yeah, way back.
So thank you for contributing to us getting this off the ground. But talk about the Poseidon Seagull, kind of the genesis of the company. Would love to hear kind of like, your backstory and then the first, has it been a year and a half of the business? How long have you even been in market?
Yeah, so I can go way back to the beginning. We started right around like December 23, January of 24, raised our initial pre-seed. And the way that the company got together was it's me and two of my co-founders, Isaac, Zeked Up, and Parker. And so we were, I think, ideating about like logistics and aerospace. And I think like logistics especially has been a market that's been largely unchanged for the past 100 years. The types of planes that we're flying are like largely the same 737, same like Cessnas. And on the ship cargo side, it's been pretty much like containerized cargo with very much like spoke and hub model. And so we were going through a bunch of ideas of like what we could build to disrupt this, thought about airships for a while. And those are very interesting, but have their own set of problems. A couple other things. But then I think one night at a random party in San Francisco, a girl walked up to Isaac and was like, "Hey, you should look into like chronoplans." And we were like, "Oh, like what are chronoplans?" So we spent the next night just like binging YouTube videos and like documentary series. So chronoplans were these like types of vehicles that were built in the Soviet Union in the 60s and 70s. And at the time, they were like the highest cargo capacity like planes ever built. Like they're like flying ships essentially. And so they're constrained to fly in ground effect, which is a regime when you're flying extremely close to the surface of the ground, or in this case, water, because water is extremely flat, where you have an aerodynamic boost. It does two things. It largely reduces your drag and it increases your lift. So you can carry a lot more and spend a lot less fuel. So it's like increase of your lift drag ratio by 30 to 50%. Which is a huge deal. And so we started looking at those. And the really crazy thing about ground effect vehicles, this modern age, is like a lot of the problems at the Soviet side are solved for the most part. So it's really down to a controls issue and a material science problem. And composites are incredible material science. So like carbon fiber, and controls is like much like, I think we've solved those problems pretty well now. And so, but the really cool thing is like the ground effect vehicles are not regulated by the FAA. They're regulated by the Coast Guard. And so Coast Guard certification is significantly easier than FAA. And so you have like really great companies that have built cool like eVTOL stuff and like they've IPO'd or SPAC'd or whatever for billions of dollars, but they've never actually had a commercial flight because the FAA regulatory process is so long. So it's like a decade plus to get it certified. But if you're going through the Coast Guard, and so it's if you're flying sub 150 meters, and it's the same thing internationally in Europe under the IMO, you get certified as like what is technically a boat. And so what we're building are flying boats.
Yeah, we talked to Billy Thalamer at Regent. He's doing personnel carriers, but that regulatory arbitrage is just like amazing.
John, even off air after we had Billy on, you were just like,
I'm so excited about this. I love that.
It's a good like, reg arb just gets you
reg
going.
Arb. It's previously the domain of crypto stuff, but now in hard tech, we're taking advantage of reg arb.
So we have the video. I want to pull up the video, and I want you to just kind of like talk over it. Ben, can you pull it up? Quickly.
And while we're waiting for that, I'd love to know a little bit more. Oh, here we go.
You can mute it, Ben.
I don't see it.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe try watch. I mean,
we'll just Seagull. Okay. Pretty cool.
So this is
you
I'm
put
just
Starlink on it.
My heart. So this is it taking off.
Yeah.
Like flying at about 8 to 10 feet is peak. And so
how fast is this?
It cruises 65 miles an hour. We hit 115 miles an hour. And
115. Let's go.
Yeah, some prop changes. I think we'll hit 160 on our next set of tests.
You got to get in sports car numbers. I want to see 200. Bugatti Veyron goes what, 250?
Yeah, we got to race one.
You got to.
We'll race
got a
the
ways to go. Yeah, do the Nürburgring in this thing.
I mean, the design looks fantastic.
So when you say ground effect, does it have to fly over water, or I mean, this looks just like a plane. Can you just fly it over land too?
Yeah, so like if you're flying in ground effect, you generally want to fly over water because water is like extremely flat, and so like you'll have waves, and even in waves you'll fly slightly higher and it'll average out. But you can fly ground effect in like the I don't know, like the salt flats or something. But ours is what's considered to be like a Class B, Class C ground effect vehicle, and so we're not restricted to ground effect. We've just optimized it aerodynamically to take advantage of ground effect.
Got it.
But we could fly out of it up to 150 meters.
Can you
talk about? What were you?
Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about the tech tree that enables this? It sounded like there's some material science stuff, like carbon fiber's cheaper. Then there's also like the miniaturization of electronics. Like you have Starlink on that thing. That's not possible a couple of years ago. The question's really just like, why now? But I want like more of a breakdown of like all the different things from the regulatory to the tech tree that's enabled this to happen now and not earlier. Because at the same time, like this feels like something that could have happened decades ago, but why are we just breaking through with this now?
Yeah, so I think like starting on like the material science side, I think is really interesting. Like composites have really come into their own in the past like 10, 15 years. And so in terms of like having like actually like very like good there's very good manufacturing here. So like ATV Composites is where we get all of ours, and that's in Livermore. It's like an hour drive.
Oh, cool.
It's kind of awesome.
And that's both like the science of those composites, but also the cost, or is it just the cost that's come down?
Yes. Both, and like the amount to which they're being used. And so like you're having your like large planes, like your Airbuses are being built with like composite wings. And so like aerospace as a whole has like really moved into composites as opposed to just like aluminum. And so then like on the electronics side, I think like there's in the same way that like GPUs for like gamers like enabled machine learning, there's just like the hobbyist grade RC stuff has gotten extremely good. And so just like really move forward like the quality of motors available, the quality of like electronic systems, sensors, the types of sensors that are available right now have gotten small enough that we can fit them on here. And really the Seagull is started as like a quarter scale prototype of our full scale vehicle, which is going to be a 50-foot 2-ton capacity vehicle.
But yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I was going to talk about, sort of long-term capacity, scale, and then like the applications of this. Because at that size, to me, it looks like something you would use for like potentially defense applications is a big one. But
I thought you were going to say pleasure craft and like going out and
just getting
out with your boys,
on the boat with your boys,
on the ground effect vehicle with your boys, having a glass of champagne.
Could be a really good time.
But yeah, so is your guys' first focus like logistics and sort of like longer term,
who's the customer?
Longer distance transport, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I think like as I was saying, this like started as just like a core scale like prototype demonstrator, figure out the aero body design, validate a bunch of stuff. But as we were building it, it became aware that like it was like a pretty capable vehicle in and of itself, and like we designed it for manufacturing. So we reached out to the DoD, specifically like the Naval Surface Warfare Center people and SOCOM, and they all had their own specific like mission profiles that they were interested in with the Seagull. And so it's like pretty large payload capacity relative to size, and being able to operate in like marine domains. And so doing stuff like anti-submarine warfare, like UUV detection, very like urgent and like high priority logistics and goods is on the defense side for the Seagull. And then we're starting operations commercially with it for doing like very like mostly like medical deliveries to remote islands. And then at the full scale carrying 2 tons, the idea is to be able to compete with air freight for coastal and island logistics and cargo. And through a bunch of things, we are going to be able to get to roughly a quarter or a third of the price per kilogram per mile.
It seems like Zipline's done pretty well with the medical deliveries stuff. I was surprised to see how long that company's been around and how much they've grown. So clearly there's like these niche markets that are really important in logistics and in transportation.
Yep.
Jordy, you got another question or?
No, I mean, that was it. I just wanted to bring you on to say thank you for the early. I was saying you missed it earlier.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
I just
I heard.
remember. I don't remember much of what you posted, but I do remember covering.
Yeah, I do remember featuring you.
Covering your fantastic.
In terms of the military applications, it sounds like logistics first, then maybe ISR. But is there you gonna put a bomb on this thing at some point?
I'm not responsible for what they stick in it, but there are discussions about a wide range of different payload options.
But I mean, just like stepping away from like the business applications, like, is that something even like we even need? Like we hear about the hypersonic missiles being able to kind of bob and weave, and they don't fly on a traditional like parabolic ICBM trajectory, so they're harder to shoot down. This thing seems obviously maneuverable. Is there military value on a weapons platform for this thing, or is it just like too slow and too small to really like matter?
Yeah, it's definitely faster than like torpedo per se, but the unique advantage of it is when you're flying at such a low elevation, you're flying below radar.
Yeah.
It's a like very stealthy platform.
Oh,
flying
interesting.
a sonar
That's
like
cool.
a ship.
Yeah.
So you can get pretty close to the enemy lines without being spotted.
That's cool. Back on the tech tree, are you doing any AI on board, even like open CV to do collision detection like you'd get on like a DJI drone, or is everything kind of remote controlled right now, teleoperated? How are you thinking about the evolution of that tech?
Yes. So the way that we built it out is that it starts with being teleoperated because you need to like train the systems. And so running, it's like on a hardware level, it's like Pixhawk with ArduPilot that we've like modified it. And ArduPilot's like an open source platform.
Cool.
I know guys at Anduril use it as well. And so there's a few sensors that we have on board. We have a sonar, we have a radar, and just like a visual camera sensor. So yeah, taking stuff in terms of like collision detection, like elevation detection, maintaining stable flight. So yeah, we're building some of our own models.
So when you're flying it, are you doing FPV or is it just at a computer screen? Like what does that actually look like for the pilot?
Yeah, for the pilot when you're like flying it and just like remotely, we have the computer screen with all the different like signals on it. You get all your stats.
It's like flight simulator.
Yeah, basically. And then
High-stakes
you
flight
have
simulator.
the camera on board so you can actually see where you're going.
That makes sense. Cool.
Super cool.
That's amazing. Well, good luck.
Really
Congrats on the launch.
impressive what you've built in so little time in a very efficient way. So congrats again. Congrats to the whole team. And,
Appreciate it.
Looking forward to the next update.
Yeah. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you guys.
Cheers.
Bye.